In this course, we're going to be exploring operating systems, what the functions are. We're going to take a look at some examples. We're also going to take a look at how it does its job. So in this video, let's take a look at what this course is going to cover. We're going to kick this course off with what is an operating system. An operating system is a set of software and code that runs our computer, that sets it up that we can interact with it. Our operating system is what's known as an abstraction layer and also has abstraction layers within it. So we're going to discuss what an abstraction layer is to give us a concept of what this operating system does. We'll get into the different functions that this operating system carries out, such as it manages our devices, as well as several other functions that it does. And not only does it manage our different storage devices, but it also presents it in a way that we can easily interact with it. We're also going to get into different types, different brands, and the popularity of these brands when it comes to the different devices. We're going to take a look at firmware and how it's a little different than an operating system. So we'll compare and contrast the difference between firmware and operating systems so we have a good idea of what the differences are. Once we really understand what an operating system does, we're going to get into some operating system examples. To really understand what options we have when it comes to an operating system, we can take a look at the history of operating systems. We'll also be taking a look at things called the kernel, the main set of code that's running our computer. And we'll compare and contrast the different operating system options that we have when it comes to desktops and laptops. From there, we're going to start looking at how your operating system carries out its functions. We're going to take a look at some of the software and services that it uses to be able to operate your computer. We'll take a further in-depth look into the kernel and what the kernel is, and how there's these monolithic kernels and microkernels. And we don't really interact directly with the kernel. Instead, there is another abstraction layer, and we have the shell that we interact with. So we're going to get into the shell and the two types of shells that we have, whether it's command line or graphical user interface. We're going to also explore different types of system software and applications. So we're going to take a look at operating systems, drivers, utilities, applications, the things that help us operate this computer. And how when each one of these programs launches, it creates a process and then it manages the process for computing power. We'll also get into how we can take any one of these applications or software and turn it into a service, so that way it can function in the background on our computer. In the end, we're going to have the solid foundation of what an operating system is and how it runs our computer and helps us manage our computer.